I'm Professor Silver, and today I'll break down the history of Ash's Incineroar, detailing its transformation from a downtrodden Litten into the strongest fire type Alola has ever seen. This video is brought to you by Brilliant, the #1 platform to enhance your math, programming, and data analysis skills. You can think of Brilliant as your personal tutor, but without the awkward chit-chat. The platform offers thousands of interactive lessons, each tailored to fit your specific skill level and needs. All of the lessons are crafted by experts who hail from institutions like Caltech, Microsoft, Google, and more. All in all, Brilliant is about diving into hands-on problem solving. Rather than sifting through lectures, you'll learn everything Brilliant has to offer by completing interactive bite-sized lessons. Personally, I learn best when I'm knee-deep in the action, so this approach totally works for me. Lately, I've been diving into courses about data visualization as I've been toying around with new video concepts and trying to think of cool ways that I can compare characters based on their anime performance. I'm always looking for new ways to optimize my work, so taking a few courses a day has been a huge help in improving my ability to both visualize datasets and more thoroughly analyze them. So if you're ready to try everything Brilliant has to offer, try it for free for 30 days by visiting brilliant.org/silver or clicking the first link in the description. Everyone who signs up will get 20% off an annual subscription. Don't miss out. Visit brilliant.org/silver today. And now on to Incineroar. Much like many of Ash's other fire types, Litten's early life was filled with hardship. In fact, in the episode The Island Whisperer, Kahuna Olivia speculated it went through many harrowing ordeals while a wild Pokemon on Melee Island. As you'll soon see, her assumptions were entirely correct. It was revealed in the episode That's Why Litten is a Scamp that Litten only survived in the wild thanks to a kindly old Stoutland. Stoutland was like a father to Litten, teaching it how to survive when no one else would. The two of them were as thick as thieves. At night, Litten would sleep in Stoutland's embrace, dreaming of how the canine saved it from bullies. Poetically, Stoutland totally lived up to its species identification as a big-hearted Pokemon. Beyond saving Litten from misery, it also taught the young Firecat how to care for others, make friends, and even use fire-type moves like Ember. Stoutland's advanced stage limited its physical mobility, but Litten made sure it never went hungry. To achieve the goal, Litten did whatever was needed, including foraging, begging, and stealing. While the fire type loves Stoutland like a father, it initially hated Ash. When the Pokemon and trainer first met in the episode Alola to New Adventure, Ash stepped on its tail, leading it to burn him with Ember. Because of this, Litten appeared uncaptured in subsequent episodes, loading the decks and first catching Alola Ketchum style. In the former, it appeared near the Pokemon School, while in the latter, it received food from a nice old woman named Anella. The episodes offered little more than glorified cameos for Litten, but they helped establish that it was more than just a sight gag. It was in the episode That's Why Litten is a Scamp that Litten truly stepped into the spotlight. At first, Litten proved a major nuisance for Ash by stealing his sandwich. Unbeknownst to Ash, however, the robbery totally backfired. Right after Litten made its getaway, an Alolan Persian ambushed it, causing it to burn the sandwich to a crisp. After Ash told his friends what happened with Litten, they explained that its actions weren't out of the norm. According to them, it regularly stole berries from the local market, hung around Mallow's restaurant, and tried to avoid people. Their tales inspired Ash to catch Litten, as he wanted to teach it a lesson and change its ways. Despite the anger Ash had felt, he immediately dropped his ire upon finding Litten cornered by Persian. He and Pikachu shooed the cat away, but not before Litten sustained heavy injury. Although getting hurt prevented Litten from returning home, the ordeal led it to understand that Ash was a noble trainer. Ash refused to let its wounds go untreated, so he rushed it to the Poké Center, not caring that it would bite him on the way there. That night, when Litten escaped the center, Ash followed it home. It's there that Ash realized that everything Litten did was in service of Stoutland. Ash so empathized with Litten's altruism that he renounced his desire to catch it. As should be expected of Ash, he couldn't bear to separate Litten from Stoutland. At the same moment that he was about to leave, the Alolan Persian arrived and tried to ambush Stoutland. The silver lining of the crisis was that it not only provided Ash the opportunity to prove his good intentions, but also the chance for Litten to prove its potential as an ace. Opposite Persian, it used Stoutland's training to up its firepower, master Ember, and win the battle with Flare. The next day, Ash came to offer Litten some food as a peace offering, but he couldn't find it or Stoutland anywhere. They moved homes, likely so as to stop predators like Persian from finding them again. At episode's end, the appearance of Litten near Anella's cart confirmed that it had reached a steady truce with Ash. In spite of not getting caught by Ash, Litten still returned in the episode They Might Not Be Giants. Rather than bond with Ash, however, it befriended Rowlet and Popplio. After saving them from Meowth, it introduced them to Stoutland and protected them from Team Rocket. Because Litten fought the trio and showed incredible skill as a leader, the trio asked it to join their team. Although Litten initially accepted their offer, it only did so as to free its new friends. When all was said and done, Ash thanked Litten for all its help. Because it still needed to care for Stoutland though, it remained a wild Pokemon at episode's end. In the episode One Journey Begins, Another Ends, Litten finally joined Ash's team. Sadly, the reason why it joined him is a major tearjerker. After Ash discovered Litten's new home at the start of the episode, it was revealed that Stoutland's health was rapidly deteriorating. By the very next day, the situation had become so dire that Litten asked for Ash's help. Despite Ash bringing Stoutland to the Poké Center, Nurse Joy couldn't heal the ravages of time. Stoutland knew its end was near, so it left the center to spend one last night with Litten. Even in its final moments, Stoutland never stopped caring for its adopted child. After teaching Litten how to use Fire Fang, Stoutland warmed the cat throughout the night and offered all that was left of its affection. The bond between the two of them proved so powerful that at the same time Stoutland died, Litten dreamed of its passing. When Litten awoke from its slumber, it searched desperately for Stoutland, not understanding that its father had left their home earlier in the night and crossed the Rainbow Bridge. In my opinion, Stoutland left their home so as to spare Litten the trauma of seeing its lifeless body. Litten stopped searching only after a dying tree helped it to realize the finality of death. Ash and Meowth tried to help Litten cope with its loss, but in the end, it was a Stoutland-shaped cloud that helped it see that a life without Stoutland was still a life worth living. Instead of continuing to wallow in sadness, Litten requested to join Ash's team. After all that had happened, it recognized Ash as a worthy trainer, someone who might just be capable of filling the role of protector like Stoutland once did. Like Bulbasaur, Litten's only condition before being caught was that Ash first show his strength in battle. Against Pikachu, Litten traded Ember for Thunderbolt, dodged Quick Attack, attempted a failed Fire Fang, blocked Quick Attack, and countered Electro Ball. Thanks to the exciting battle, Litten decided to join Ash's team and travel with him during his adventures in Alola. Best of all, it gained a family filled with love. Fittingly, in future episodes, Litten seemed to give all the affection it once gave to Stoutland to Ash and his Pokemon. The affection towards its teammates was on full display in a shivering shovel search. It followed Ash's commands while training with Kiawe's Turtonator, protected Rockruff from danger, kept Ash warm while they were trapped inside a wild Palossand, and mastered Fire Fang in order to save him from the Pokemon's confines. Learning Fire Fang was a major accomplishment for several reasons. On one hand, learning the move honored Stoutland's legacy. On the other, it showed that Litten was perfectly in tune with Ash's training style. Litten acclimated quickly to life with Ash, but its shy nature initially made it difficult for it to trust new people like Ash's mom, as shown in the episode Alolan Open House. Eventually, though, Litten forged such a deep bond with her that she deemed it Liddy and used it in battle against Team Skull. As expected of Stoutland's protege, Litten powered through the battle alongside Pikachu and Rockruff and easily defeated Salandit. Following a parting of ways with Delia, Litten devoted itself to getting stronger. In pursuit of the goal, it trained with its best friend Rockruff in a glaring rivalry, helped Snowy bond with Ash in the old Raisin Switch, and embraced the Well of Fire Festival crown in a crowning moment of truth. Thanks to all its efforts, Litten beat a Totem Lurantis during Ash's Lush Jungle trial, incurring favor and flavor. At the battle's start, Litten landed Ember, connected with Fire Fang, and dodged Solar Blade. When Lurantis summoned its buddy Castform to aid in the battle, the tables started to turn as the weather Pokemon used Water Gun. Luckily for Litten, though, Ash called forth Rowlet to even up the score. Thanks to Rowlet's assistance, Litten was able to fly into the battle, land Scratch, and gain a shield against Water Gun. After Rowlet defeated Castform, Litten brought home the win using the Z-move Breakneck Blitz. As a result of the victory, Ash received the Gracium Z Crystal. Once the Lush Jungle trial had concluded, Litten continued its efforts to get stronger. It could be seen training with Kiawe's fire types and acting true to form, and both Lycanroc and Kamala in Let Sleeping Pokemon Lie. Furthermore, Litten also battled Lucamine's Lilligant in Rescuing the Unwilling and 10 Million Reasons to Fight. Litten leveled up immensely from its many fights, but it wasn't until it saw the Masked Royal's Incineroar in pushing the fiery envelope that it finally found its purpose. Seeing Incineroar win the Battle Royal so excited Litten that it resolved itself to beat the Pokemon in battle. The next day, Litten stormed the Battle Dome, hoping for Incineroar to accept its challenge. Almost immediately upon storming the arena, Litten realized that the Masked Royal was truly Kukui. Unlike Ash, who was entirely clueless, Litten figured it out using its superior intellect and keen sense of smell. Because Kukui admired Litten's tenacity and had a special place in his heart for the Pokemon, he let it fight Incineroar in a 4-way battle. Litten lasted longer in the Battle Royal than Sophocles' Charjabug and Kiawe's Marowak, but Incineroar still won in the end using Bulk Up and Throat Chop. It's worth noting that by the end of the battle, Litten had completely won over the crowd. They likely knew it would never win, but they couldn't help but respect its drive and passion. Though it saddened Litten to lose, it immediately started training so that it'd fight better the next time around. To help Litten achieve its goal, Ash, Lycanroc, and Pikachu helped it master the new move Flame Charge. Together, the 4 of them trained in a montage worthy of Rocky. Litten made incredible progress in only a short amount of time, so the Masked Royal and Incineroar offered a rematch. At the battle's start, Incineroar showed that for all of Litten's training, it still had a long way to go. Incineroar repelled Fire Fang, blocked Ember, and intercepted Flame Charge as if Litten was little more than a play toy. Right as things seemed at their worst, Litten evolved into Torracat and revealed strength like it had never shown before. Using Flame Charge, it stopped Darkest Lariat, dodged Incineroar's advances, and even caused minor damage. Incineroar ultimately won with Bulk Up and Throat Chop, but Torracat left the battle a champion. Thanks to the incredible show it put up, Masked Royal declared it Incineroar's rival and affirmed that it had massive potential. From then on out, whenever Torracat caught wind of Incineroar, it got all fired up. Beating Incineroar became its main goal in the series, giving it ample motivation. The rivalry fueled Torracat's motivation, similar to how Gladion's Lycanroc inspired Ash's Lycanroc. After Torracat honed its evolved strength by training with Yahweh's Turtonator in the episode Turning Heads and Training Hard, it joined Incineroar against the Revengers in the episode A Young Royal Flame Ignites. It offered help to the heel Pokemon because it didn't like that Incineroar's opponent was cheating. The rescue led Torracat to join its hero in a tag battle against the Revengers Magmortar and Electivire. Incineroar dominated Magmortar when the battle first started, but Torracat struggled against the Fire-type's feint attack. Things only got worse after Electivire landed Wild Charge thanks to its partner's cheating. In spite of that though, Incineroar's changing of the tides with Darkest Lariat provided Torracat the chance to redeem itself. Once back in the ring, it tanked Karate Chop and unveiled its knowledge of revenge. Using the move, it defeated both Magmortar and Electivire. As a cherry on top, Torracat followed up the victory by defeating the Revengers Pangoro with Flame Charge, posing with Flare, and receiving the Masked Royal's praise. Although Torracat left the field as Incineroar's ally, Ash vowed that they would one day settle the score. Torracat didn't battle Incineroar when it appeared in the episode Turning the Other Mask, but it expressed excitement at the notion. As an aside, it's worth noting that while Torracat was dead set on beating Incineroar, it never let its obsession stop it from acting like a cat. While its friends loved to play at water parks and gallivant at the beach, it was much more content to relax and nap. Honestly speaking, the biggest difference between Torracat and a real cat, besides its fiery powers, was that it loved dogs. Whilst traveling through Tapu Fini's mist in the episode Memories in the Mist, it received what I would guess was the only thing it wanted more than beating Incineroar, a reunion with its father Stoutland. Thanks to the magical mist, Torracat reunited with Stoutland's spirit in one of the most touching scenes of the saga. Seeing Stoutland allowed Torracat to show its father how strong it had become since they were last together. Furthermore, it gave Stoutland the chance to teach Torracat one last move, Fire Blast. It pained Torracat to say goodbye when Stoutland disappeared, but the reunion also gave it much needed closure. Additionally, by learning Fire Blast, Torracat learned a move that was unique from all its Fire-type predecessors. Besides Stoutland, Torracat also adored Lycanroc. The two of them could often be seen palling around together throughout the series. As examples, they sparred in the shape of Love to Come, gave energy to Necrozma in Securing the Future, and beat a pair of Palpitoad in The One That Didn't Get Away. Another thing that was atypical of Torracat's cat-like nature was its love for a mouse. Prior to the events of the reunion with Stoutland, Torracat and Pikachu trained together against Kiawe's fire types. The training battle took place in the episode Run Heroes Run. In the episode A Timeless Encounter, Torracat and Ash were sent into the past by a passing Celebi. While there, they met a young Kukui and Incineroar, who at the time had yet to evolve beyond its Litten form. Kukui was enamored with Ash and treated him like his idol. He thought Ash to be a powerful trainer, because when he lent Ash his Fire EMZ, Ash had no issue in getting Torracat to use Inferno Overdrive without any issue. Due to Kukui's idolizing Ash, he challenged him to battle using his Litten against Torracat. Ash and Torracat initially went easy on the duo, but Kukui forced them to turn up the heat. The situation paralleled how Litten refused to let Incineroar go easy on it. Like what happened at the Battle Dome, though, as soon as Torracat turned up the heat, it absolutely obliterated its opponent. Torracat deflected Ember, landed Flame Charge, and won with Fire Blast. Once Kukui recovered from the loss, he helped Ash get a Fire EMZ of his own. Ash got the crystal by having Torracat aid Kukui's Litten in scratching an itchy totem trevenant named Elder. The experience is notable because it created a temporal loop. Kukui's Incineroar inspired Ash's Litten, who as a Torracat inspired Kukui's Litten. At the end of the day, it's almost impossible to decipher who influenced who first. Nevertheless, soon after returning to their own time, Ash and Torracat entered the Alola League. Winning was of the utmost importance to the duo, as the winner of the tournament would be granted an exhibition match with the Masked Royal. Of course, Torracat wanted to battle him because it meant a rematch with Incineroar. During the Battle Royal and first two battle rounds, Torracat didn't do much but stand on the sideline and cheer for its allies. After training with Turtonator in the Final Four, however, Torracat entered the semifinals opposite Guzma's Scizor and Golisopod. Its showdown with the high-level brawlers took place during the episodes Getting Down to the Ire and The Wisdom Not to Run. Scizor technically fought Torracat first, but it swiftly switched itself out with U-turn. Golisopod immediately made a major splash. Using its incredible strength, it blocked Fire Blast, landed Liquidation, weathered Fire Fang, connected with Throat Chop, tore through another Fire Blast, and let off a second Liquidation. After Torracat dodged the last attack, it turned things around by charging through Pin Missile, landing Flame Charge, executing Fire Fang, reversing Throat Chop, and using another Flame Charge. Golisopod stopped the onslaught with another Pin Missile, but was left exhausted in the process. When Torracat tried to seize its victory with one last round of Revenge and Fire Blast, Golisopod activated Emergency Exit. This caused it to leave the field and Scizor to enter. Since Scizor wasn't ready to block the super effective blast, it fainted almost immediately. Golisopod defeated Torracat after returning to the field, but Ash won the match anyway thanks to Pikachu. Due to the win, Ash advanced to the finals where he was able to beat Gladion, become Alola's first champion, and earn a battle against the Masked Royal. Torracat relished the call for battle as it allowed for another shot at Incineroar. For fans like me, it also presented the opportunity for Torracat to prove itself as a true ace, similar to Charizard and Infernape. Torracat and Incineroar's battle took place across the episodes Exhibition Unmasked, A Full Battle Bounty, and Fiery Surprises. Although Torracat opened the battle, it got off to a rocky start as Incineroar bulked up, repelled Flame Charge, and used Darkest Lariat. Things only got worse for Torracat after Incineroar stopped Fire Fang, countered Flame Charge, tanked Fire Blast, and used Blast Burn. Rather than flee, however, Torracat absorbed the flames into the bell on its neck and stood firm. Soon afterward, Ash summoned Lycanroc, further delaying the battle. When Torracat finally returned to the field, it avenged Rowlet by beating Kukui's Venusaur. Venusaur landed Vine Whip, but Torracat burned it with Fire Fang, intercepted Sludge Bomb, and won with Fire Blast. Notably, the bell on its neck burned hot throughout the battle, signifying that its power was growing with every move. Torracat's next battle was the battle to end all battles as it finally got to fight to the finish against Incineroar. Ash's Firecat started off strong by muscling through Darkest Lariat, but suffered from the combination of Throat Chop and Bulk Up. Even though Torracat kept on with Fire Blast and Flame Charge, Incineroar stopped its subsequent usage of Fire Fang and did major injury with Throat Chop. After Torracat retaliated with Revenge, each Pokemon and trainer knew that the end of the battle was near. With what was left of their energy, Torracat and Incineroar powered up their flames, exchanged Inferno Overdrive with one another, and put all their energy into one last attack. While Incineroar used Throat Chop, Torracat used Revenge. Ultimately, Revenge proved the stronger of the two moves, as Incineroar fell to its injuries, while Torracat was left standing triumphant. By beating its rival, Torracat had achieved its greatest dream: And if that wasn't good enough, it was so fired up from the win that it evolved into Incineroar. Unfortunately, it fainted immediately after evolving, as the toll of the battle had finally caught up to it. That said, thanks to its help in defeating Kukui's strongest Pokemon, Ash went on to win the match. Because Incineroar fainted in one of Ash's last battles of the saga, we never got to see it make use of its dark typing in a battle when it was fully evolved. Following the showdown, Incineroar bid Ash farewell in the episode Thank You Alola, The Journey Continues. While Ash competed in the World Coronation Series throughout Journeys, Incineroar and the rest of its Alolan teammates stayed behind in Alola with Kukui. They weren't transferred to Oak's lab, likely because they loved Kukui and Ash didn't want to separate them from all the friends they had made. Personally, I think it's for the best that Incineroar stayed behind, as being in Alola meant that it could still train with its mentor and potentially even fight at the Battle Dome on its own. During Journeys, Incineroar hung out with Ash when he visited Alola in the New Old Gang of Mine, celebrated Gladion's father's return in helping the hometown hero, watched Ash battle Leon in pairing Pokemon while parrying, and cheered on Pikachu during his Spirit Vision in Partners in Time. After Ash won the Masters 8 and became the Pokemon World Champion, he added Incineroar back into his team as a rotating reserve. In the To Be a Pokemon Master arc, he used Incineroar in the episode Bearing Down Easy to help rehabilitate a wild Beartic whose icy powers had gone out of control. To help in the adventure, Incineroar provided warmth, melted ice that encased its friends, and unveiled knowledge of Darkest Lariat. This might just be the fanboy in me, but I like to think that it learned the move from Kukui's Incineroar. While the appearance didn't offer Incineroar a battle like many fans would have hoped, I still think it did a great job in showing that Incineroar was still growing and getting ever stronger. As that covers Incineroar's history to date, let's get to its battle record. Incineroar beat Alolan Persian, Meowth, Salandit, Litten Lurantis, Mad Magmar's Magmortar, Mr. Electric's Electivire, Viren's Pangoro, Kukui's Litten, Hunter D crew members Palpitoad, Guzma's Scizor, Kukui's Venusaur, and Kukui's Incineroar. It lost to Alolan Persian, Kukui's Incineroar, and Guzma's Golisopod. Move-wise, Incineroar used Darkest Lariat, Ember, Fire Fang, Fury Swipes, Fire Blast, Flame Charge, Revenge, Scratch, and Slash. It also used the Z moves Breakneck Blitz and Inferno Overdrive. It should go without saying, but Incineroar has one of the best narrative arcs in all the series. While it has a sad origin story like many of Ash's other fire types, I adore that the writers gave it a unique arc entirely different than from what happened with Charizard, Infernape, and Pignite. Watching it lose Stoutland as a Litten allowed it to experience trauma like we had never seen before in the series. Additionally, Litten and later Torracat's subsequent rivalry with Kukui's Incineroar transformed it into a juggernaut. I'm a tad bummed that we didn't get to see Incineroar battle in its final form, but honestly, its story feels complete. At this point, I would view a battle as icing on the cake to an already perfect story. On that, class is adjourned. I want to give a big thanks again to Brilliant. To try out the platform for yourself and support the channel, make sure to click the first link in the description. My name again is Professor Silver. Until next time, catch you later.